Yo, what's up guys, how is everyone doing? Guys, today we're going to be looking at the Ichimoku Cloud, and this is honestly, it's one of the hardest indicators to learn at the beginning. You know, you look at something like this, I'm not even showing you the full indicator. Let me actually bring up what it looks like. Normally, I mean, you look at something like this and it's just like, what the hell am I looking at? None of it really makes sense at the beginning, but guys, when you do learn to use it, I can look at this chart of Bitcoin. This was back in 2017, early 2017. I could look at this chart without even knowing what asset it is, not even the price, and I could tell you straight away, yes, this is a bullish chart and it's looking good. And it's sort of at a glance, that's actually what Ichimoku Cloud means. And it's especially powerful because what it does here is it goes into the future. So, you know, we pull up any other indicator. Let's hide this and let's go for the EMA 13, for example. It doesn't tell you what's going to happen in the future. It doesn't paint anything ahead of the current time. But the Ichimoku Cloud does do that, and it does it really well. It's incredibly reliable. And if you make trades solely based off this indicator, you will still, in most cases, not financial advice, you will still, in most cases, be making very good profits, way better than the average trader, because you do take emotion out of it if you use this kind of an indicator. Now guys, in this video I'm going to be showing you guys how to use it. I'm going to be explaining it a little bit, and also how and why it's going to predict when Bitcoin can and eventually probably will moon as well. This is a really important indicator. If you're new to the space, some of these things might not make sense to you, but do stick around. It's only going to be a short video this time around, and I'm going to try to go through all of it. So guys, for this video, we are actually going to be using CryptoMedicated's Medium article. And guys, if you don't know who he is, he posts articles like this on Medium. He also has his own Telegram channel, Twitter page. His information, his sort of content goes extremely in-depth into any topic he goes into. So if you look at his Telegram channel, everything that he has will be in the description below for you to check out. It goes really in depth. I'd highly recommend you check him out. It's a great read. I mean, this article covers way more than we're going to be doing in this video, but if you are interested, of course, it will be linked below so you can check it out. But you know, for the purposes of this video, we don't need to go through everything in this video, in this article. The Ichimoku Cloud, if you're just using it to trade, it's not completely necessary to understand what every single line here means. We just need to know mainly about the actual cloud, these green and red areas, but the other things just complement it and make it a very good, well-rounded package. But you know, we go slightly lower and we get to these leads, lead 1 and 2, and this is actually what comprises these clouds, and very simply, it's put extremely clearly down here. The cloud is, you know, green or red, and when it's green, it shows you support. So guys, just by looking at this chart, if I didn't know what was going to happen, I would tell you that as we have bounced up, it's a very bullish indicator. This green cloud acted as support. The basic idea is if you're looking for support, the Ichimoku Cloud does it, and it aligns with other things as well in certain cases. So if we play this chart, if we see how it played out in the future, I mean, we can see we never went back down to these levels. It was $1,000 for Bitcoin, and it's just a constant ascension upwards to, I mean, 3,000 now, but we can continue painting this chart all the way up to 20k, but you guys already know how that plays out. So the reason I went back down to $1,000 is because you guys wouldn't have recognized that chart, and so, you know, what you see here is going to make a lot more sense to you now that you don't know what happened when we looked at that previous chart, because you have to look at these charts with a fresh mind. And basically what we're seeing here, guys, is these massive green and red clouds. We're on the daily chart, so it really does account for a lot. Now, we're using specific settings for cryptocurrency. This is widely agreed upon in the community, but if you do read the chart, one of the big topics here is why the default settings wrong, because if you go to you know, any regular Ichimoku video, maybe even this one, if I was using the default settings, I would get people in the comment section saying, why have you got the wrong settings? But the fact is they're not wrong. It just depends on what you prefer. And of course, I want to line up with the majority of the crypto space so that things make sense. You know, when I say things like long-term movement, I'm not talking about using monthly candles. Long-term in the crypto space is using daily candles, you know what I mean? So we're trying to make this make sense within our own space, Forex and stock trading and all that. It's not very applicable to the space. But, there are some main points we need to take away from this once we understand that these are clouds, and green clouds act as support, red act as resistance. So, let's go most recently with this red cloud. It's a massive cloud, and guys, the wider an Ichimoku cloud is, the more pressure there is for what it's telling you. So this is a massive red cloud. That's telling you that there is very strong resistance here, and guys, it is extremely clear we broke into this cloud. All right, there was a bit of resistance there. I mean, when we went into this cloud, immediately it was followed by a big dump. That's already showing you how much resistance is in this area. Then we pile onto that. This blue line that you guys are seeing is actually the 200-day moving average. So that's a very long-term indicator. And Bitcoin got rejected off that twice. So, that's just another thing to add insult to injury. And then as we see, when we peaked at $10,000, it just sent us way down. And obviously right now we're at 6,500. So that's nearly half price from where it got rejected in this cloud, and it just goes to show you how heavy the resistance is. So we scroll up a little bit here, and we've got some very key points that we need to bear in mind with this indicator. When the cloud is green, that means that the Ichimoku is signaling to you that previous price movement over the periods that it has been slated to track, are indicating that it predicts positive price movement. So this is really important. Let me highlight that because Medium is cool and you can actually do that. Did that work? Yes, it did. Good. Conversely, if I didn't say that right, when the cloud is red, that means the Ichimoku is signaling to you that the previous price movement over the periods are indicating that it predicts negative price movement. So again, very important distinctions to be made there. If the price is in the cloud, then consider that cloud to be a potential trading range that the price may move within while it's in there. So guys, what could have happened here is we could have traded within this cloud, but then while it begins to narrow, we've already broken into this, so the cloud begins to narrow. It shows that we can break these levels. While it begins to narrow, we could end up either breaking up or breaking down out of it. Of course, in this case, we didn't really trade within the cloud for longer than, maybe a week or so, and then we did eventually get rejected by it. So that's actually covered in some of the next points. If the price crosses above the cloud, so that would mean if it goes above here, that is a very bullish sign. And guys, it is, because, this is heavy resistance. We already knew it. I mean, it goes down from 8,300 all the way to 12,800, which is more than a $4,000 range. I mean, that is absolutely huge for Bitcoin. And so if it were to cross above this, I mean, that would take an extremely strong catalyst. I can't think of what it may be. If the price crosses below the cloud, that is very bearish. So guys, what we saw here was a green cloud, and obviously we would expect if the bullish sentiment was still there, or the sentiment was definitely still there for Bitcoin, but if it still had room to go up, which in hindsight we now know that it didn't, we would have expected this green cloud to act as support. And you can see that it was fighting this area for a while. I mean, this acted as a support and resistance area, but eventually the bears did gain their control and took us down to $6,000. But what you can see from this chart really clearly here is that Bitcoin has had the opportunity to pass up and cross above this cloud, but instead it broke down. So that is a very bearish sign. And of course, since then we've been on this constant decline. I mean, this was way back in February, was it? Or it was in January, and now we're into June. We're 6 months into the year, and we're still bearish. So that is a very bearish sign, as is shown. We've been rejected by this indicator with all of our double tops, over here, and of course, more recently at 10,000. So these next 2 points, these final points, 7, my bad, not 6, point out that when the price is above, the cloud should act as support. And of course, like I said, it didn't work over here, but it has worked previously. So it acts as support over here. We go into the green cloud and we bounce up. Where did it happen? I mean, back at $1,000 where I showed you guys at the beginning, $2,000, all of these areas, it acts as support. But then when we encounter massive resistance, it becomes resistance. So if the price is below, it serves as resistance, and that is exactly what we're seeing here, guys. So guys, that's why this indicator is so good for predicting, telling you what kind of price movement you can expect in terms of just either bullish or bearish. It doesn't tell you how low, it doesn't tell you how high, but it does tell you the binary, what can happen. Is it up or down? Now guys, what makes this indicator so powerful is that it also predicts what's going to happen in the future. So we can see we're currently on the 17th of June. This indicator goes up to the 17th of July. It's a whole month in advance. That's because we've got I believe it's because we've got the 30 value here for one of these settings on this Ichimoku Cloud. So what this is actually telling you guys is that, we could rally. I mean, we've got this triple bottom. You've heard me talking about it for a long time. We could rally up to about $8,000. But once we get in here, it looks like it's going to be a big area of support. Not as big as previously, but as we can see, as we continue to go down, this cloud widens. It becomes stronger resistance because the bears are just showing more control. It's going to take a lot more power to go from 4,000 to 8,000 than it would be to go from 6,000 to 8,000. And so that's why as we go down, we went down from 20,000 to 10,000 to test this Ichi Cloud. It didn't work. And that's very simply just why. So the reason this can predict when Bitcoin will moon, well, you've probably already worked it out. When we start breaking these price ranges, when we start ranging a little bit upwards, and we go on a bit of an uptrend, what's going to happen here is it's going to switch. It's going to become a green cloud. So we can see this green cloud narrowed, it closed, and it became a red cloud. The same thing is going to happen here when the bullish sentiment returns, and this red cloud will become a green cloud. It will become support. And so, once we do break into this kind of a cloud, if we go from down into a green cloud, it's like a sort of launch pad to get Bitcoin's price even higher. So guys, that's how it's going to predict when Bitcoin can moon, because when we do get a green cloud, when we do get all the other indicators confirming to us that we're in an uptrend. So for example, you guys can see that I've always got my EMA 13 and 48 open, and these are exponential moving averages. We can see way back in October, we had this bullish crossover where the EMA 13 rose above the 48, and that's a bullish crossover. And as you guys can see, it gave us confirmation of the uptrend. So from there all the way up to 20,000, we could have ridden that wave. If we rode that wave exactly what the indicator, exactly how it told us to do it, like I said we can do for the Ichimoku, again, this would be a very successful trade because we would enter at around 3,800. And then we can close our position when this EMA crossover turns bearish. And at that point, the price was $11,000. So from a price of, where is this, $3,000, $4,000 all the way up to 11,000. That's a really good return on investment. A lot of people wouldn't have been able to do that. A lot of people have just held Bitcoin all the way down to this current price. Whereas if you do trade based on this indicator, it does work very well. Now, of course, you get fake outs. So we had this bullish crossover here and nothing came of it. If you bought at this area, we haven't returned to that area since this happened in March. And it's now June. It's 3 months later and we're still not as high as it was when it crossed over, which was $10,000, nearly $11,000. So, the Ichimoku Cloud in that way is actually more accurate, but it's just another way to do the same thing. Of course, what makes it unique, like I've already said, is that it goes in the future, and in that way, it's an incredibly powerful indicator. If you know how to use it, this is one of the best things you could do. I'm going to stick to using this constantly as we see this trend evolve and really see what's going to happen. But guys, that is it for this video on the Ichimoku Cloud. I really hope you have found it useful. Definitely check out CryptoMedicated if you haven't already. He puts out some amazing content. You definitely need to check it out. But with that, guys, I'm going to be out. If you have enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you're new around here, and I'm out. Peace.